Ciao, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of Playdate. As you can see, we have a little change of environment today, and I'm so happy to be able to finally say that. Things have been moving very quickly behind the scenes, so hence the change of scenery. I was planning to make the switch for season 2, but I was like, you know what? Like, we're halfway through season 1. Why not just start? Let's just do it. Why are we going to keep filming at the old studio when we have this beautiful space? I honestly feel like the space was meant for my podcast, and I'm really looking forward to today's episode. I feel like with just the change of scenery and environment, it just all feels very fitting. This episode's going to be all about growth and lessons, specifically lessons that I have learned over my years in therapy. So it's going to be a very therapeutic episode, I think, and I think it's going to be something, I mean, at least I hope one person can take something away from. But yeah, I don't know. Earlier this week, I was clearing out my camera roll and I came across this old video of myself talking about the top lessons that I learned throughout my years of therapy. And the things that I was talking about in this video were mostly tailored towards relationships, because when I first started therapy, that was kind of the reason I had went, kind of healing from some things that had happened. And I don't know, these things really resonated with me still. Like, I felt very gravitated towards what I was saying in these videos. And I thought to myself, you know, if I can still resonate with these today, that means other people are probably going to resonate as well. And even if it's just one person, that is truly all I care about. And that makes a difference to me if it can make a difference to you. So, yeah, I guess we'll jump right into it. But to start off with, I want to preface that I've been in therapy for about 4 years now, which is crazy. Like, thinking about it, like, time really does fly. And it's been one of the most beautiful chapters of my life, and ongoing journey, of course. I'm still in therapy, and I've gone through a fair share of different therapists. I've had three therapists out of the 4 years I've been doing it, because therapy is not a one size fits all kind of vibe. You know, you really do have to take the time to get to know your therapist and to see if it's a good match. And for the most part, like, I enjoyed every therapist I was with. I think they all had their strengths for me and things that worked, but there was also a couple of things that didn't. My very first therapist was a male, and it was interesting. Like, I think it brought a very interesting dynamic to our relationship. I got a little bit of different perspectives. I got a male perspective on things, and it just kind of, I don't know, it just worked for me for a little bit. He was very soft-spoken, very kind demeanor. However, I did feel like a lot of the time I was almost guiding the conversation. I feel like I had to initiate what was being said next and what direction we were going to take it in. He just kind of like laid back and just like let me speak, which is a beautiful thing. But at the same time, I also need that guidance. So after about 2 years with him, I got out of a relationship, and it was a very narcissistic, abusive relationship. And it was difficult, and it wasn't something that I could no longer see him for. I needed someone who specialized in that field, specifically of narcissistic abuse. So I essentially took my research elsewhere, and I found a different therapist. She was a little bit closer in my age, I would say like early 30s. And so I felt like maybe that could be a good match, because she would understand my viewpoints a little bit more, or we can relate on a couple of different things a little bit better than me and an older male would. So I made the switch. However, it was like the complete opposite. It was almost like she spoke too much and I didn't get to say enough. It was like by the time our session was done, I barely got a word in. So it wasn't the best match in that sense. I felt like it was kind of just like, not a waste of my time, but like a waste of my money. Like, therapy is expensive. And if I'm not able to actually speak about the things I need to speak about during the session, then why am I paying you? Like, respectfully. And now I have my third therapist, and she is lovely. She is a perfect combination of the two of them that I was previously with before. She is such a great listener, and she also is so good at making you reflect and being introspective, and also giving guidance and actual homework to do in order for me to continue to grow throughout these sessions. She also studies the Gottman approach, which I've always been so fascinated by, even before I got into therapy with her. I've researched a lot about them, and I love their approach. You know, they talk about the 4 horsemen. They talk about love mapping and the pillars and all this kind of stuff. And so I don't know, I just felt like that approach really spoke to me. And when I found out that she did it, I was like, yeah, I'm sold. Like I did my research on her, of course. And yeah, and after doing our sessions, it was just, I felt like it was such a good match. You know, she understands who I am and she knows everything I've been through from kind of top to bottom. So yeah, I will say going through the process of finding your perfect match when it comes to therapy, it can be a little bit daunting only because you have to then relive the same thing over again and re-explain yourself. And the more time goes on, the longer of the history it becomes. So that was kind of like the tough part of it. So I hope to stay with her for a while. I don't want to toot my own horn here, but I do think I'm pretty emotionally intelligent. And so, you know, I am very capable of pinpointing, you know, my faults and my behaviors where I went wrong, the things I need to work on, and also navigating what kind of happened and how I got to this point and stage in my life, and also able to articulate what the things I'm observing are. Anyways, I'm just very in tune with that stuff. And I feel like I'm getting to the point where I need to now navigate the trauma that's actually stored in my body. So she's kind of helping me with that. You know, sometimes when I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed, she's taught me how to do like a quick 5-minute meditation just to ground myself and really just like kind of restore my energy and balance myself a little bit. So it's been a very interesting journey with her, and I'm excited to continue the journey with her. She's been great. But without further ado, I guess we'll get into all these lessons here. There's not that many, but they're good. It's like quality over quantity, you know? And funny enough, actually, I got majority of these lessons from my very first male therapist. So it's interesting to see the dynamic here and what I've learned and how I've taken it along the journey with me. So without further ado, lesson 1, short-term pain, long-term gain. That one was one of the first things that I remember taking away from therapy. And usually after every session, when he said something to me that I really resonated with, I'd always write it down to take it with me. And this was one of the things that just always kind of stuck. You know, sometimes, as I've said before in other solo episodes, the hardest things to do and overcome are usually the ones that end up being the most rewarding. And sometimes you have to know when to walk away from a situation that you know is going to hurt you. But at the end of the day, you know, long term, it's such a beautiful investment to invest in yourself and your long-term mental health, your long-term love life, your long-term career. Like there's things that you have to sacrifice and do. It's going to suck in the moment. But when you do it long-term, it's going to be so much better. A good example I always love to talk about is relationships. You know, sometimes you may be in a situation where you find that someone doesn't value you enough, or you're not being appreciated, or you know that it's just not a good match. And you know, long term, you're just probably better off, you know, saving everybody's time and energy now, knowing it's going to hurt, but giving yourself that time in the future. And the longer you wait to make that change in your life, the shorter time you're going to have in the future when you get there. And I think that's such a key thing to remember, honestly. When things don't work out, almost look at it as a way of like being excited about what's to come. Be excited about why it didn't work out. You know, be curious about what's going to come and what's going to happen in your life. I think there's something so beautiful about that. I know it's scary and the unknown is scary, but there's also something so fascinating to think that there's so much to look forward to. And there's so many exciting things ahead that you don't even know are coming. People that you haven't met yet, opportunities that you haven't yet been offered or explored. And I don't know, it's just really exciting. So when you get bummed out, just remember it's short-term pain, long-term gain. Over the years, I've been very quick to express myself, and not in the sense of like falling in love with someone and that kind of stuff, but more in the sense of I'm very open. I'm honestly very transparent. I'm very vulnerable. I'm like kind of an open book. And so when I meet someone, it's easy for me to feel like I'm able to open up to them and talk about my past or just do things for them out of like love and kindness, like the little things, you know? And I've come to realize over the years that some people don't necessarily deserve that access right away. I think I've come to realize that a lot of people have to earn my trust to get that side of me, which kind of leads into the second lesson, which is basically something my therapist said to me, and it's always stuck with me. And he was like, Victoria, you're like a gift, okay? Take your time. Let people unwrap you. Let people pull the ribbon apart. Let them see what's inside of you and be surprised, you know? And he's like, be a mystery. And I've come to realize truly, like, my presence is a gift. And not everybody can get access to that so quickly, you know? And honestly, if it's a true connection, you won't need to rush it. That person is not going anywhere. So, this is basically a gentle reminder to slow down. As a matter of fact, it's encouraged, okay? Lesson number 3 is you are not your thoughts, okay? Your thoughts are merely an object of the mind. You saying, I don't think I'm good enough, doesn't mean it's a fact, okay? The thought and the observation of the thought are two totally different things. You are not your thoughts. Your thoughts do not define you. And this is something I've been constantly practicing in my life for a very long time, something I still struggle with today. I am genuinely the biggest overthinker ever. And I know everybody says that, but honest to God, if you were to ask my friends who the biggest overthinker is that they know, they will tell you it's me, okay? If you think you overthink, take the amount that you think you overthink and multiply it by like 100 million, 100,000. Because genuinely, it's bad. I overthink about every little single thing in life, and I overthink about I can't even go into detail about what I honestly like, how my thought process works. I think about the before, the during, the after of the after, and the before the after. Like, it just goes so crazy. So anyways, I struggle with being able to calm myself down in the moment and reminding myself that just because I think these things doesn't mean they're true. Your brain has the power to choose whether or not to oblige to those thoughts. You as you and you as your thoughts are two totally different things. And you have to remember to tell yourself this and to ground yourself when you feel yourself start to spiral. And I know it's so much easier said than done. And even saying it out loud right now, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm so guilty for not being able to calm myself down when I'm overthinking, but I am working on it. And just because I don't do it doesn't mean I can't shed light to try and instill that in other people and inspire people to do that same thing that I'm trying to work on, because it is hard. But you have to remind yourself and tell yourself, like, these are just thoughts, these are not facts. And that's the fact of it all. Doing things like EFT tapping, if you don't know what that is, I highly suggest you do some research on it if you're an overthinker like myself. As well as, you know, again, a quick little 5-minute guided meditation can really do wonders and help you a long way. And like, meditation isn't even to make your thoughts go away and disappear. Meditation is basically there to help you become more present and still, and to bring yourself back to a present moment when you feel your thoughts kind of getting away from you, you know? So that's something that's kind of helped. And yeah, it's honestly so hard. I wish there was something we could do to stop ourselves from overthinking, but there's not. You just have to keep practicing, but just remember to tell yourself, like, your thoughts do not define you. Lesson number 4 is they do not deserve all of you in the beginning. And it ties really nicely into number 2. Just because, like I said, it's like, be a mystery, be a gift, let them unwrap you. And it's the same concept of start slow, you know, start with just conversation and take it from there, little steps at a time. You don't have to go deep into your history. You don't have to go deep into your secrets, but take your time, okay? You can buy them a coffee, but don't cook them a whole home cooked meal, you know? That way, you know that when you genuinely meet someone and you have a good connection with them, they aren't connecting with you because of the things that you do for them. They're connecting with you because they genuinely like you, not for the things that you do for them. That way, when you are starting to vibe, you genuinely can start to trust them because they're not in it for all the extra stuff. The stuff you do for them after, like cook them dinner or plan a really nice date, anything you do on top of being who you are is simply just like a bonus and an additive to the entire situation. Those things are then earned, and it feels so much more rewarding when you know you took your time with it to give yourself to someone like that. And when you also know that the other person is there, again, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. And it's such a reassuring thing. It's like, I didn't have to act a certain way, or I didn't have to do certain things in order to make this person like me. I simply was just being myself, being candid, being bubbly, being honest, being authentic, and knowing that that person likes me for me. I used to think that there was nothing wrong with doing those things at the beginning. And, for me, it's like I'm being true to myself and I'm showing you that I act with kindness and love and this is who I am. But at the same time, I've learned to also value myself in the sense of, someone should not be able to reap all of these rewards without me feeling like I'm a prize, and I feel like that stuff is earned. You have to gain my trust in order for me to give you these things. Don't put all your trust into someone who doesn't value you the same way that you value them, and that goes for friendships too. The right people will honestly just create such a meaningful space for you in their lives that you don't have to force a connection. You don't have to be someone you're not or act a certain way or do certain things for people to appreciate and accept you. Just show up as yourself, and that's all you have to do, because that's naturally going to gravitate the people that are meant to be in your life versus pulling people in based on someone that you're not and just surrounding yourself with people that just, they're not for you. No amount of attraction or chemistry can ever compensate for the psychological toll it takes on you, your body, and your mind to be with someone who does not want to be with you or who does not value you in the way that you should be. It's tough though, because I am I would like to think I'm a very kind person and I'm very giving. And again, I like to show love in a lot of different ways. So I'm still finding that balance of being true to myself and being integral with who I am by doing these small gestures and acts of kindness while still trying to balance not giving too much away. Like I really do struggle with that because that is who I am. So why should I have to hold back how I act and how I feel with someone just because they don't deserve it? You will never regret acting out of kindness and love and sincerity with people. So it's like this fine line I'm still trying to work with, because I want to be able to do those things for people and show them that's who I am. I'm a big, 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 big lover girl. Okay. I yearn for deep connections and I truly love love. Like I'm such a big lover girl. And my love languages, honestly, if I could pick all of them, I would. They are all quite literally my love languages. However, I think the two that probably stick out to me the most and resonate with me the most would be words of affirmation as number one. I think there's something so special about someone being able to articulate how they feel about you and tell you how you make them feel and how much they love you and care about you and support you, appreciate you. And, I guess for me, I've always been very big into writing. I write poetry. I've written music my entire life and I love to write. And I love to express to people how much they mean to me. I constantly am always doing that. So that's really big for me. And number two would probably be acts of service, because I would love to see action actually follow that up. And I'm not talking about like the materialistic things. I'm talking about like the little small acts of kindness, remembering my favorite coffee order or buying me just because flowers, or I don't know, sending me a song because it was something that reminded you of me or you thought I'd like it, or even as small as like writing me a little note for me to find. Like those are the things I'm talking about that honestly means so much to me and speak so much volume. And essentially just like doing these things without having to be asked or reminded or nagged, just doing it because you want to. Being that partner for somebody and having a partner like that who's attentive and caring and thoughtful and considerate, like that is attractive. Like your relationship is always going to be an upkeep. You have to be willing to put in the work and the effort and yeah, put in the work. Like relationships are hard work and it's always going to be hard work. There's never going to be a day where that stops. There's never going to be a day where you're just, you know what? I feel like taking the day off from this relationship today and I'm just going to not try. When you're in a relationship, like newsflash, when you're in a relationship, it's never ending work. It's always going to be continuous. And so you have to find a partner that is willing to accept you on the bad days and the hard days and the hard times and the hard phases and is going to stick with you through that. Also tying things in with the love languages. I find that you tend to show love in the same ways you enjoy receiving it. I will always cater to someone's love language, whether that's, quality time or acts of service, whatever it is. I will absolutely make sure that it's my priority to give you those things and how you need it. But I do find that naturally people gravitate to what they like to receive. So just be aware with how much you give yourself at the start. That's all. That's really it. Just be aware. Be cautious, be diligent, and know that, again, not everybody deserves that part of you. So lesson number 5 is you want to be taken on the adventure. You don't want to be the adventure. You are the one that makes it special. I've realized that if I didn't plan 90% of the dates that we went on, or if I didn't do all the cute little surprises or all the small little things, the relationship would not have been what it was. Like, sure, it takes two to have the chemistry. Like, you would not be in that relationship if your partner didn't add to the chemistry. But at the end of the day, chemistry and like attraction is just not going to cut it. Even love is not enough. Anywhere from the small moments and surprises to the big moments and surprises, all of the I bought this for you because it made me think of you, or I bought this for you because I know you like it. Something as small as their favorite candy. I don't know. But it's those little things that really matter in a relationship that keeps the spark alive. You can't just expect to do one grand gesture every, I don't know, 7 months and call it a day. When you're in a relationship, like newsflash, when you're in a relationship, it's never ending work. It's always going to be continuous. And so you have to find a partner that is willing to accept you on the bad days and the hard times and the hard phases, and is going to stick with you through that. Anyways, I really do think all of those kind of tie together. Like, the whole premise of it is like you really have to value yourself. You have to uphold respect for yourself, to know when to walk away, to know when something is no longer serving you, to know that you are better than this and you deserve more than this and what you're getting. If you have to tell your partner how to treat you and how to behave and how to make you happy, no, there's a balance. It's like, no one's a mind reader, you know? You can't just like expect your partner to know what makes you happy, what your triggers are, when you're upset. Like, communication is very key. You have to be able to communicate when you're upset and why you're upset, and not just kind of sit there giving the silent treatment. And in order for someone to know something, you have to tell them. Like, they can't just know. They can't just read your mind. So it's important to communicate your likes, your dislikes, when you're upset, what makes you happy. But if you do all those things and you vocalize those things and nothing is still changing, then you know this situation is simply not for you. You should not have to stay in a relationship where you feel like your feelings, your motives, your actions are not being reciprocated. It's just not healthy. And you're going to forever resent that person for it as time continues forward. And you're also missing out on lost time with someone who could be much more, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm having a slow day today. Much more like in common with you. What's the word? You could be with someone much more fitted, suited, suitable. Oh my gosh, there's a word. I can't think of it. You know what I'm trying to say. Someone who's just better for you, okay? That's what you want to find, is someone who meets you halfway. Listen, it's not always going to be like 100% at all times. Sometimes there's going to be someone who's having a bad week at work, or they're having personal struggles in their life, and they're going to be at like a 20% battery level, and you have to carry that 80%, you know? Or sometimes it might be you're kind of 40 and they're kind of 60%. You can't expect it to be 50-50 all the time. A relationship is never going to be 50-50. But I do think with that, it's like you have to find a partner who's willing to balance that with you and not just expect you to be at 100% all the time while they just kind of sit back and don't do anything or do the bare minimum effort, you know? So that's my take on that. Yeah, I saw this thing the other day actually, and it was something like, write a list of everything that you're looking for in someone and then become that list. And honestly, I really like that, because you truly are just aligning yourself with someone who's more compatible for you. Oh my God, that's the word. Compatible. That was the word. Anyways, yeah, you are just able to align with someone so much better who's compatible for you. And it also allows you to really like reflect and sit back about who you are, who you want to become, and also taking a look at like your own flaws and where you can improve, and taking that accountability. And again, you're just going to be able to align with someone who's better suited for you, because at the end of the day, you don't attract what you want, you attract who you are. And I think that's such a great takeaway for anything in life. But on that note, I'm going to end things here. It was a nice little calm therapeutic session, and I'm glad I got to sit here with you guys today and talk about the lessons that I've taken away. And I just want to say, like, for anyone who's maybe not in therapy or who's thinking about getting in therapy, there doesn't necessarily have to be anything going on that's wrong. I always look at therapy as like a safety helmet or a safety belt and just taking precautions in life and getting to know yourself better and getting to understand your coping mechanisms and your conflict resolutions and the way all your internal all your internal mechanisms and the way that you think and just like get to know yourself a little bit better. I think therapy is such a beautiful, beautiful thing, and it's helped so many people in so many different aspects of life. And I honestly do think that it's so beneficial. So honestly, just start. If you haven't, just start. I know it's expensive, but there are sliding scale rates that you can do as well. But I truly do advocate it for anyone. It's just really healthy. It's like a great brain dump. And yeah, it's just nice. You have a very unbiased opinion in the room and someone who can help guide you towards whatever goal you're kind of after. So, and there's different types of therapy. There's career therapy, there's relationship therapy, there's life coaching. There's so many different types of therapy that you can go seek. And I truly think that there's something out there for everyone. So definitely take a little look, see if you can find something that calls you and give it a try. You never know unless you try. And that's what I always say. Like I said, therapy isn't a one size fits all type of deal. You may not get that lucky on your first shot with a therapist, but you might. But just be patient with yourself. Be patient with the therapist. Give it some time to see if you vibe. And if not, you can find a new one. So yeah, that's pretty much all for today, guys. Again, thank you so much for joining me in this beautiful, beautiful new space. I'm so excited to be recording here from here on out. And there's so many cool things in the works, and there's so many cool guests lined up. And yeah, I'm really excited for what's going on behind the scenes. And I can't wait to share more with you guys. But for now, thank you for joining me. Thank you for making this a safe space and a vulnerable space. And I really hope that at least one person was able to take something away from this today, whether it be a small thing I said or a whole lesson or the whole episode, better yet. But yeah, thank you for joining me. And I guess I will see you guys on the next episode of Playdate. Ciao.